What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have some big news to go over today as we had Peloton stock up over 25%. We have some crazy news with Apple and a new feature that they are releasing. We also have some pretty big news with Corsair earnings and Enphase earnings as they are all over the place in after hours today. But with that being said, let us know what stocks you are watching in the comments down below, and we'll probably take a look at them in tomorrow's video. But Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, Peloton actually reported their earnings this morning, caught us by surprise a little bit. Earnings Whispers had them reporting after hours today, but they reported this morning and they actually announced a CEO change, but their stock ended up flying up. We ended up closing up 25%. This was an amazing move. And I know that they had that awesome move later last week whenever they had that possible rumor with possible acquisition with Amazon. And then now we've heard possible things with Apple and Nike as well. And it's just really shot this stock up. It's really brought Peloton back to the upside. We have a couple of great articles here with Peloton. We can see that they now named executive Barry McCarthy to replace their CEO, John Foley. And then they announced a plan to cut cost. And in part of this, in part of their plan, they're going to be cutting 2,800 jobs or about 20% of their corporate positions, which is pretty insane. And then we can also see that with their earnings, they actually slashed their outlook for next year. And we can actually see that they pretty much see their 2022 revenue within a range of 3.7 billion to 3.8 billion, down from a prior range of 4.4 billion to 4.8 billion. So down quite a bit there. But I feel like they're really running off of some of these rumors. And then obviously that CEO change might be helping out too.
Exactly. So Peloton is in survival mode right now. The demand for their products is just diminishing week by week, and they're cutting jobs and they're scaling back. But the stock is blasting to the upside right now. Like Tom said, like when you have Apple, Amazon, or Nike looking to take you over, like that is crazy news. So it's an interesting play. Either way, it is blasting up. Tom, I did see a pretty strong resistance level right around 40 and even a little bit more around 45. But what are your thoughts on just the price action with Peloton?
Yeah, with the price action, it has a lot of good momentum here. Like you said, it hit that resistance today right around $40 even. If we do break that, I can definitely see them running up towards $45. Like you mentioned, I'm also seeing that as the next major resistance. But personally, with the price action today, it was pretty explosive. You know, we ended up 25%. I know that Peloton has been going down a lot over the past couple of months, and we have a long road to recovery, especially back up to this like pre-earnings drop of last time whenever they were at $90 and they ended up falling down towards 50. So we still have a long way to go, but I feel like that with them up 25%, it might be a little tough to play this one tomorrow. If they do end up breaking above the high of day at 40.35, I think it can be doable for a quick in and out scalp play, but I don't think that I would, maybe eye this one up particularly for a day trade. I think it's better for a longer term position here.
So I disagree. I mean, it's not a long-term play for me right now in the sense that they're just a disaster right now, in my opinion. I made a complete video talking about everything with Peloton earlier in the day, so feel free to check that out, guys. But Tom, I mean, it's not at a bad level if you think they can get their stuff together. Like they have a really low price to sales ratio. It's just can they get back in the game is the $1 million question.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that right now, if you are going to buy some shares of Peloton, you might be trying to bank on, the fact that maybe Amazon might acquire them or Apple might acquire them or even Nike. And, if you do think that that might happen, it might be a good thing to scoop up some shares, but that doesn't always mean that the stock's going to rise. And, that it is rising with the rumors now, but just keep in mind that, if they do announce a deal and then the deal doesn't go through or something like that, they could end up taking a big tumble. And we talked about this a little bit in the live stream this morning, and I compared Pinterest to Peloton. We can see that Pinterest, they had those rumors of getting bought out by PayPal, and they shot up in a pretty huge way, rising from $50 all the way up to 65. And then within just a couple of days, that deal got scrapped And we can see Peloton ended up falling, or Pinterest fell all the way down to $26 now. So it can definitely go against you. But I just feel like you said, it's at a good price point if you do think they can get their stuff together.
Yeah, it's a wild one, so we'll see. But Tom, we do have a lot of volatility with these earnings plays. So I was watching Corsair in after hours. It is all over the place. It shot all the way up to $22 and then went all the way down to 18. It closed around $20.50. Now it's back around 20. So this one is all over the place. What's going on with it?
Yeah, I really hope it ends up staying to the upside here, but they've had some pretty crazy news here come out in after hours, Mike, with their earnings here. We can see they ended up reporting. It looks like they ended up beating on their sales estimate. They had 510.6 million and they beat their 495 million estimate, which is great. Their EPS came in like 10 cents over the estimate, which is really good. And they also, you can see that they also revised their 2022 revenue to 1.9 billion to 2.1 billion. And I think that's really good numbers, Mike, especially considering that they ended up this year right around 1.9 billion, which was an 11.8% year over year increase. So it does show that they're, expecting their revenue to kind of stay steady, which is good. At least they're not seeing a loss like we've been seeing with some of these growth stocks, kind of like Peloton.
Yeah, so Corsair's revenue has been pretty steady for the most part, and they see it increasing next year. So that's always good to see. The stock has been all over the place in the short term, though, but I do like it for the long term.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be pretty good in the longer term, and I'm really glad to see that the earnings, at least they came out pretty positive so far. I know the stock did dip down to $18. Like we said, though, it's been all over the place. And, we did see Microsoft dip down on their earnings and they ended up rocketing right back up because they had good numbers. And from what I'm seeing so far, I think Corsair's numbers are pretty decent. So hopefully they end up at least just holding their ground here.
Sounds good. And now we have to talk about Enphase. This stock is rocketing up in after hours. It closed right around 145 and it's at 166 right now. So what's going on with this one?
Yeah, this one's doing a lot better. I love the way it broke out of that 145 resistance. Ever since that happened in after hours, this one has just been flying up. Enphase has been a pretty hyped up stock this year. We're going to end up opening tomorrow on this daily chart at some pretty high levels, almost back up to that 170 resistance. So definitely eye this up for tomorrow. But there were some great numbers that came out with them, Mike. We can see that Seeking Alpha has a pretty good article here. This shows that they came out with an EPS of 0.73, beating it by about 14 cents on the estimate there. And then they also had a revenue of 412 million, beating the estimate by 13 million. So it's pretty good to see that they came in and beat on their numbers there. And it looks like their outlook for 2022 is also pretty good.
Awesome. Love to see that. I also like Enphase for the long term, so definitely keep it on your radar. But Tom, what other major earnings do we have for the rest of the week?
Yeah, we still have some big ones coming up. I mean, look at Enphase tonight. Corsair's been all over the place. We even had Lyft and a few others today. But, tomorrow we're going to have CVS in the morning and then Canopy Growth or CGC. The marijuana stocks have been definitely tanking down lately. So hopefully they can start to get some nice momentum. I know Disney's going to be huge tomorrow after close, along with Uber. We might get a little bit of an insight into Uber's earnings with the way Lyft does today, but definitely look into some of these tomorrow. We have MGM and then iRobot as well. I feel like those are going to be big. And then later in the week, we have Affirm, Twitter, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. So it's definitely still an action-packed week coming up. And, one that I did want to mention, Mike, was Upwork. They've been kind of similar, or they've had similar movement to Affirm lately.
Yeah, we shall see. But Tom, I know there was also some pretty big news with Apple. So Apple has been, I guess you could say, consolidating over the past couple weeks. But what's the recent news with them?
Yeah, they ended up having a pretty good run up today, to say the least. They held that 172 support. They actually had some decent news. I would say it's not the best news in the world, but they did announce today that they pretty much you can pay for stuff by tapping your iPhones together. And I know that there's been something in the past where you can like tap your phones to pay each other, but it's going to be really cool to see how Apple has effectively turned their iPhones into a point of sale terminal without having any additional hardware. And this actually ended up hurting Block, or Square today, whose first major product was a smartphone dongle that allowed merchants to accept credit card payments. So that's bad news for Square or Block. I know that Block is getting into more of crypto stuff they will be in the future. But as of right now, though, that's a pretty big hit for them. They did end up falling about around 2%, according to CNBC. But in the end, though, it's just good to see Apple innovating, Mike. And honestly, it's kind of cool that we're going to be able to pay for stuff with our iPhones. I know personally, I've already done this a few times with mine. I actually have my credit card linked to it.
Cool stuff. I really of course, whenever you have Apple competing against another company, it's definitely a concern. Like you already mentioned, Tom, this hurts Square a little bit today, but I'll tell you, I don't really see this news as too much of a concern because, yes, they added this cool feature and that's awesome, but it's when you go to a coffee shop or a restaurant or wherever where a lot of these Square point of sale terminals are at, it's they have their own dedicated system, and I don't see the owner's iPhone replacing that. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like I think Square will do just fine.
Yeah, I think they'll do fine just because they have other parts of their company that are better. For example, I think that the way that they're in the Cash App is such a good thing for them. Cash App has had some pretty big advancements over the past few years, and Square, honestly, I feel like that Apple's idea is really good. But one thing is that with Apple's system, you have to have a touchless credit card. So if you have a credit card that doesn't have that chip that you can just tap and go with, it's not going to work because you have to either insert it or swipe it. So yeah, I feel like that it's not going to hurt Square too bad right now. It might in the future, but I would think that Square is going to be getting into some pretty interesting stuff over the next few years regarding crypto.
No doubt. So we'll definitely see what happens with that one, but it's definitely some interesting news. But with that being said, I want to give a giant shout out to our member of the day, which is Hondo 9800. Huge shout out to Hondo. He's an amazing member, and he's just he's an awesome member. So huge shout out, Hondo. Thanks so much for all of your constant support, activity, and everything you do for the Stocked Up community. Tom and I really, really appreciate you. So thanks again, Hondo. And Tom, let's get right into these momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Baba to the upside.
Yeah, Baba almost triple top today. It's actually kind of breaking out here in after hours. I would say if Baba can break above the resistance around 123, it'll probably have a pretty good pop tomorrow. And man, they ended up recovering quite well today.
Perfect. All right, with the next one, we have Baidu.
Yeah, Baidu, another China one. Go ahead and make Baidu break above 164. If they break that in pre-market, then go ahead and make them break 164.50.
All right, with the last one, we have BLNK.
Blink, yeah, they ended up also kind of exploding today. Make them break out above 21.75.
All right, so we're watching these three plays for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But with that being said, I want to showcase the new dashboard tool that we have. So if you guys are looking to analyze any companies, especially for a medium to long-term hold, definitely check out that first link in the description down below. You can input any stock ticker and instantly get access to some of the most important financial data that is driving that stock. We're cheaper than our competitors. We have some crazy updates in the works. If you decide to sign up, all future updates will be free, and it is an awesome platform. I use it every single day. You can type in literally any stock ticker and get access to some pretty awesome data. And once you're locked in for life. So when the price rises in the future, it's gonna be nice. So definitely keep that in mind. It's that first link in the description down below. But Tom, do you have any last minute plays or anything for tomorrow?
I just kind of wanted to showcase Peloton on the dashboard really quick because, Peloton's been taking a pretty big dip over the past couple of months. And, we can see on the dashboard, Peloton's revenue has been kind of falling off the table here. I know that they just reported earnings for the fourth quarter here, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this ends up looking for them. And obviously it's not been good. So hopefully they can turn it around. We can see that their revenue has not been coming in well and their stock's been going down. So just another reason to start looking at the dashboard. It can definitely, impact your trades. And if we go look at Peloton on the daily chart, you can really see over the past 6 months how they've been going down. And, the dashboard was definitely kind of showing how their revenue was falling there.
Yeah, it basically shows you how to connect all the dots together. So great stuff there. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you learned something or if you are new here, please consider subscribing. We post brand new videos every single day. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.